Every Thursday, we talk business with Patrick Gremion, and we're going to do that right now. Patty G, what's happening, man?
Good morning, Brian. Good morning, man. I'm doing fantastic. Back in the chair this week for a first episode of the year.
Yeah.
So it's an exciting
Who's the
January.
first episode?
Brock Miller with LA Custom Kayaks.
Oh, that's right. You mentioned that last week. Yeah. The kayaking. So
Canoeing.
Yeah, the canoes. We had a couple different things to talk about this morning, but there's no way we don't just stick with the topic that we were talking about that before you got here, before this segment, and that's the NIL stuff and the craze. And you saw the video with the little gaggle of boys right there who were just chanting for Olivia Dunne. Are we walking down a path with NIL that we can't walk back up again because we're creating a monster?
So I think NIL kind of just expands the issue that's already there. You know, walking around campus as a student, not as an athlete, you notice the athletes right off the bat because they're in some LSU swag or something.
Mm-hmm.
They've all got the same athletic backpack. They have the look. Yeah. So when you instantly see them, they instantly become a point of conversation before they even say hello or anything, before they sit down. And it's always been like that. You've always been in a class going, oh, we have econ with a football player, we have econ with a basketball player, whomever is in the classroom. When you look at this from an NIL perspective, in particular the Livy situation, where she's got all these people showing up to the meets in the fashion in which they were based on the video, you now are putting them even higher up. Like if there was a pedestal, now the pedestal has a pedestal that we're putting them on because of NIL, and now they're getting paid deals, they're getting brand deals. So what we see of them initially knowing, oh, they got a full ride, they got their tuition covered and everything. Now you're looking at them going, how much money are they actually making while getting an education here? Right.
Well, so, okay, the how much money they're actually making is one part of this because you don't want to single out what a gymnast is earning because we're seeing football players turning seven figures already, right? But at the same time, though, it's how much are you being paid for your performance on the field or on how much is your name, image, and likeness grown because you are an athlete versus because you are already a social media superstar?
Right, and people were, figuring out other creative ways to get brand deals via social media before the NIL deal happened. And now, just like you said, are she getting paid to be on the mat and do what she's doing, or is she getting paid to just post something because she's got a big following?
Right.
And how does that transpose into championships and matches won and whatnot from the school standpoint? Is there a point where they say, all right, we need to dial this back in and really get focused back on school or back on the sport itself, not necessarily growing your 2.3 million followers and even more?
That's the part of this that is going to be difficult, is getting the horse back in the barn.
I don't think you can. I mean, I think once you let a horse run free in a pasture, you try and put a rope around its neck and bring it back in the stable, it's going to be pretty tough.
So that's going to lead to other questions that were dismissed when NIL first started coming up, and that is, what starts happening when you see dissension amongst your team because a person who's not even a performer in the sport, I don't even think Olivia Dunne was part of the Utah meet. She doesn't have any results on looking up the stats from the meet. I don't even think she was a part of this thing. So she's getting all the attention and putting up none of the results. What does that do in a locker room? What does that do to the cohesiveness or unity of a team?
For some that don't have those NIL deals, and Livy, I think, has handled this pretty well, saying people be respectful of all the other athletes that are there. She's come out and made those comments, but is that going to be enough to have her former teammates look at her and be like, Livy's just over here living a totally different lifestyle than we are because of her NIL deals and her following.
Yep.
That is there going to start growing some tension? Are they going to continue being as supportive as a team? You would hope the answer is that's not going to change, but we're humans. We have that tendency to kind of look differently on those because of their current situation.
Then there's the other part of this where the companies want the reaction online, but apparently don't. It becomes a news story when you see reaction in real life.
Well, so for example, for that news story news story, TikTok's now a news story.
Well, no, that's where the video was.
The video, it was on TikTok. It's just saying that.
That's where the video was. The video was on TikTok.
So seeing that video, you had no idea who the sponsors were. You had no idea who she's being sponsored by from that video. You just know that people love Livy. And as a company, if you're investing in Livy and you're sponsoring her, what do you do with this? Do you just appreciate it, say, great, Livy's going to gain more followers, but how does that then transpose into sales? A lot of her brand deals that we were just looking at, those guys standing outside of the stadium are not going to go and purchase from those clothing lines that she's being sponsored by. So if that's her following.
No, but the girls who want the same adulation that she's getting are the ones that will respond to that.
And then that just begs the whole other question. Do you want every girl to have that type of a fan base whenever they walk out of a building?
No, you don't. This is going to be a case study. When we get 5-6 years down the road of NIL, this is going to be a case study of what could go right and what could go wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying all of it's wrong, and I'm not saying all of it's right. What I'm saying is that we're seeing examples in different areas of NIL where we're doing it wrong. For example, all the pay-for-play stuff, okay? The pay-for-play stuff in football where you're not really signed to a deal. It's just there's a pool of money, the collectives, there's a pool of money and everybody gets a cut. That's not like what we see with, say, Trey Morgan on a Gordon McKernan billboard.
Yes.
That's
where I was going.
His image is on the billboard.
Right.
Which he's getting paid for his image, and Gordon McKernan is paying for that connection back to the brand that is LSU baseball, and more specifically to Trey. But if you've just got one big pool of money that a bunch of alumni have put together, and then everybody gets a taste out of the trough, all you're really doing, that's pay for play. All you're really doing is paying athletes, which means you've created professional athletes.
Yeah, you're paying for that talent. You're not paying for them to represent the brand that you want to have on their jersey or on the sidelines or what have you. You're paying for them to actually come to the university and play the sport, which goes back to, is that the initial purpose of NIL? Are we trying to get athletes to come to a university? Or are we just trying to pay them to make money? I mean, what's the purpose of it when you get down to that type of scenario where you just have this pool of money that investors have put up?
Yeah. And LSU is going to be in a tough spot of, so if you've got dudes showing up like that in Utah, I guarantee you when they're playing
Utah,
that was in Utah. When you have dudes showing up like that in Utah, I guarantee you when it comes to going over to the PMAC, you're talking about, and LSU gymnastics has never had a problem. Well, not in recent years had a problem of selling out the arena or coming close to selling out the arena, but you're going to see that much more of a battle at the turnstile to get get in to go see them perform. Now,
right.
That being said, once they get in there, they're going to be rather disappointed if Olivia Dunne's not in the box score once it's over with. I mean, you can go to see her on Instagram, but you're not going to see her on the beam or in the floor competition. If you scroll through her Instagram, gymnastics is glaringly missing from a lot of it.
And that was ultimately my question. Is she like a star player on the? I don't follow gymnastics as closely.
No, she's not.
So it's just crazy.
Let's break real quick. We'll pick this conversation up. It'll continue on Facebook Live, but we'll pick it up after we check traffic and we check your money now, which is coming your way right now on Talk 107.3. What? They buy the spots. I can't do anything about it. So it's new for right now, but
Look at that. LSU reevaluates gymnast safety.
yeah.
No, but the other, so you then look at a stampede effect. If everybody's trying to rush to get to her, who's going to get trampled over in the forefront? You know, if they all walk out as a team and everybody wants Livy, what's going to happen at that point? But those guys standing outside the stadium, they may have that initial ticket sale, but I don't think any of them are old enough to get LSU where they're making the real money, alcohol sales. So if they get in there, they may buy popcorn or they may buy something else from a concession standpoint, and they may get more revenue that way outside of a ticket sale. But you don't have a bunch of 21 and older guys standing outside of the centers and trying to get in, and then you have the alcohol sales to add to the university. So I'm saying, like, from a university standpoint, it's like, is that the people we want here at the meets?
Or do you want gymnastics fans at the meet?
Right. Do you want a bunch of Instagram crazy guys that are going to have signs saying "We love you, Livy," or whatever they're going to put on the sign that could be potentially offensive? Or do you want people that are genuinely there for the sport, that love to follow along with the team? So then you start raising the ticket prices, which then have a negative impact on those lifelong fans that have been following the gymnastics team for some time and not just coming over from Instagram. Yeah.
Kind of. No, that's astute. That's good. You got it down to 2 words, too, right? Like, that's a little jealous. Yeah. Nicely done. But, yeah, are you... I don't know. As a father of daughters, I don't like this.
Right.
And because...
I'm not even a father of a daughter, and that made me uncomfortable.
There's a bunch of posts where people are saying she's over-sexualizing herself, and a lot of them I'm like, she's just a cute girl. But there's some that are like, yeah, she is. To me, it's not the majority, but it's enough of it to where if you could think through the lens of an 18 or 19-year-old boy, like, are you turning a woman's sport into a sex show?
And
that's over the top to put it that way.
Well, it's over the top, but has that been kind of an expectation from the world of social media and performs well?
Wait, say that again. That didn't.
So if you're looking at NIL, you're looking at following, they're trying to get the most interaction. Is there a compelling feeling to post that type of stuff because it performs well on the platform?
Yeah. Yeah, sex sells.
Right.
Right. I'm not, and that's, as a father of daughters, that's the part that scares me is I'm not raising my girls to follow down that path. They're athletes. They're athletes, and they perform in athletic competitions. I don't want those athletic competitions turning into, let's go show up to see Livy be sexy.
Yeah. Like, for example, if you look back at like Joe Burrow's Instagram on Facebook, most of his posts were him on the field in LSU gear. Now, would that be the same if Livy's in sweatpants and a hoodie that's LSU gymnastics stuff? Would that post perform the same as some of her other stuff? Right. And then does that cause her to lose followers, lose NIL deals because she's not posting that? So as she built up, or social media built up this mindset for her that she's got to post this way to keep her engagement up.
Byron says, complaining about those kinds of people attending the event. Can't wish for more fan attendance and complain about who shows up paying for tickets. Yeah, absolutely can. Because you want more gymnastics fans showing up for gymnastics events. You want to raise the level of fandom of gymnastics. You don't have to be in the PMAC to go see Livy Dunne. I mean, she could put on cute little outfits anywhere. I'm just saying, like, it's just.
I think he's saying you by doing so, you could be turning away the potential of having new fans be created out of this.
I think we all.
I don't think so.
How 18-year-old boys think.
Right, which makes a gymnastics meet a live sex show.
Yeah.
Or a striptease or whatever.
Sure. But, like, if we know that 18-year-old boys are, like, freaking,
No, I know.
jacked up.
Yeah.
On hormones. And then we post pictures. Why are we surprised?
We're not surprised, but we're also, why are we going out of our way to pour gasoline on a fire?
Because some people just want to watch the world burn.
Galen says, Livy should be free to market herself however she wants to. Guys have been doing this forever. Again, why the double standard? Because it's not a double standard. It's a matter of her fandom is not based off of her athleticism. That's 652 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Patrick Gremion, host of the Patty G Show. Noted kayak enthusiast, Patrick Gremion in the house. We got ABC News coming your way in a little bit. Patrick, we continue that conversation about the NIL stuff and specifically Olivia Dunne throughout the break. Hey, there's a ton of good questions being asked on Facebook Live, and I honestly don't know how we get to the answer because all of these things are still so young. NIL is still very, very young. And we're seeing this experiment being hashed out in real time.
Right.
And you just asked about a double standard. So was it you that just asked that?
I think it was Galen that asked it.
Oh, Galen. Okay, yeah, sorry. Galen asked about a double standard. Galen says on Facebook, Livy should be free to market herself however she wants to. Guys have been doing this forever. Again, why the double standard? And I don't see that as being a double standard because Livy Dunne's fandom has nothing to do with Livy Dunne as a gymnast. It's the same way when people win gaga over Anna Kournikova. Point me to the tennis tournament that she won because you can't. She'd win a couple rounds and then bow out in like the quarterfinals. But she was super hot, which is why everybody followed her. Nobody was following her for tennis. Everybody was following her because, she's on a Kournikova.
Yeah.
So are we seeing the same thing here? And are we seeing the same thing here? And as NIL continues to evolve, it's on the men's side, the better athletes are the ones that are making more money.
Yeah,
not the ones who
that are
post
making
up sexy pictures.
Right. You look at the Joe Burrow situation, the Joe Burrows of the world. Whenever they play well and perform well, people are going to follow it and are going to watch that game.
Right.
So how does that get transposed to the female sports?
And that's the thing. The sport is lost. The sport is lost. Just as many people follow Livy Dunne to look at cute outfits, or more to the point, look at what's inside those cute outfits.
Well, I think that video that was shown is an isolated situation. And how does that transpose here on campus? How does that transpose for her going to class, going to practice? Is that type of following just walking around her in a bubble?
Yeah. Like I said, it's playing out in real time. I don't think we can get to an actual answer. The bottom line of it is LSU lost at Utah. No, it's not the bottom line of it. The bottom line of it is there's a lot of money being flung around, and we're seeing different reactions to different things, and they'll all be hashed out. Let's move over to non-competes. Are they about to go away?
It would be exciting if they did. I'm not going to lie.
Why?
So let's say, for example, you've got an employee who is...
Stop. I got a great answer here. Broderick says on Facebook, I just loved watching Serena Williams play tennis, Brian. Fantastic example.
Yes.
Fantastic example. But Serena Williams was never selling herself as a sex symbol. Serena Williams was selling herself as a tennis player.
100%. And when you look at those interviews and you look at how she has done over the years and the effort she's put back into the sports to encourage those athletes to come forward and start playing better. Same thing with Tiger Woods. People followed him and genuinely wanted to watch him play.
No, they all thought he was sexy.
Well, look, Brian, your opinion may not be the rest.
Okay, let me get back to the root of it. Is if you're looking to advance women's sports or protect how far women's sports have come in the last 30 to 40 years, this is detrimental to it, not the other way around. Serena Williams is good for a sport. Livy Dunne is good for Livy Dunne.
Yeah, I think watching the match most recently with Serena and the people in the stands were there to genuinely watch that tennis match with Serena, and it showed. You could feel the power of everybody sitting there watching her play and how incredible it was.
And there are certain athletes that do that. So, anyway, non-competes, are they going away?
So there's conversations around having non-competes go away, and I think when you look at that element of a non-compete and saying, Brian, you can come work for me, but if you ever want to leave me, you can't go back to work in that field.
I've had to fight one before.
Right. It's a tough sell to bring somebody on, and as an employer, you can leverage that and use it to your benefit. But what is that message being delivered to your employees as an owner, as a business owner, saying you can come work for me, but only for me forever? Or if you leave, you can't go anywhere else. Whereas some bosses and some employers can look at it and say, I want you to come on board. I'm going to train you to be the very best that you can be within our organization. And if you think you can go elsewhere and do something a whole lot better than what we're doing under here, by all means, I want to be supportive of that. I want you to be happy within your career, whether it's hopefully under my roof, but if it's not, that's okay.
That's sweet. Isn't that, just all lovey-dovey?
Yeah.
But if you build up a skill set, a reputation, a client base, you build up a level of fandom, if we can cross over the two topics, you didn't build that on your own. You built that because of the place where you were working, in part.
I was about to say, so then the employee is a factor of their environment.
Right, in part, for sure. I'm going to see this through a skewed lens. I'm going to see this through the lens of a member of the media. But there has to be some level of give and take, right? And also, don't you agree to the non-compete when you agree to the terms of employment?
Yeah, if it's in there, yeah.
Okay, then isn't it on you as the employee? It's like you agreed to this on the front end.
And that's where you have to look at the front end negotiations of going under a contract. So if you don't carefully read through it, and if you disagree with the non-compete at the front end, you can't just sign the deal to get the job, right? You have to be fully aware what you're agreeing to whenever you go to one-day leave in hopes that you can take whatever you've got with you.
Yeah. Conversations are being had. Are we anywhere near seeing movement other than just talking?
I think it's mostly just speculation right now.
Same. I saw the same story in the business report that you saw. It's built into the contract. It's built in the employee agreement.
It's all on the front end contract. You sign it, you agree to it. It's binding at that point. And so if you want to terminate the contract, you've got to either renegotiate a deal and figure something out or accept the initial terms.
There's more parts to this, but we're just straight up out of time. Stick around if you're watching us on Facebook Live on air. Here comes the ABC News. He's Patrick Grimion, host of the Patty G Show.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you. Back at it already as of this week. All right, here comes ABC News. I'm hard-pressed to see another part of this was if you don't want the non-compete, don't sign the contract.
Yeah.
Now,
which that's going to turn into, I mean, we have a lot of hired at will employees. I mean, at any point in given time, I have the right to fire you for.
Now, so I believe if you're fired, then your company has terminated the contract. The terms of that contract should be terminated as well.
Now that, yes.
Because
unless it was fired with a cause, meaning you did something so egregious, they had to let you go.
Yeah.
Like you walked in and were just totally harassing everybody in the office. That's not within the bounds of employment. They didn't hire you for that. They didn't hire you for that level.
I understand, but even then you're looking at a scenario where the company says you have to go. The company can't also say you have to go and you're not allowed to earn. If you leave willingly, yes, absolutely. You left willingly, you have a non-compete.
Yeah.
The agreement you signed, you have to adhere to. But if you're shown the door, I don't see how you can be asked to not earn. Or at the very least, not be compensated for the period of time that you're asked not to earn. Should some level of severance have to cover your non-compete? Because if you're telling me I can't ply my trade, well, then what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
So my when I left Clear Channel to come over here, Clear Channel claimed I had a non-compete, and I fought it. It was supposed to be 6 months. I got it knocked down to 3, and by the time I was done fighting, 3 months had already passed anyway. So, but my argument was, I was hired as a part-time board op. I left as a program director to go do a job as a talk show host. My non-compete,
I won't be a board director, no problem.
Right. I was, at no point was I planning. Well, I ended up doing that for Moscona, but that was way, way later. But my point was the job I was hired, and at no point in my 5 or 6 years, 04 to 11,
7 years.
7 years. Well, the beginning of anyway, 6 years, 6.5, let's call it. At no point during those 6.5 years and the 4 to 5 promotions that I got along the way, at no point was I ever given any other paperwork to say your job description has changed, your level of pay has changed, what is expected of you has changed, and what we're getting out of you has changed. Nothing along that way was there ever a new NDA. Or not NDA, non-compete. So, yeah, my argument was, like, you never had a non-compete with me in the first place. So I'm going to go apply my trade with, yes, what I've learned, but at the same time, though, I didn't agree to shit.
Yeah.
So, oh.
No, and that is
I don't know how they apply in other fields.
Yeah. So we don't really have a non-compete. We have a moonlight agreement, a no moonlighting agreement.
Some fly by night.
Brian Trasher says eggs are the new toilet paper.
They are.
Toilet
They are.
paper.
I wouldn't recommend wiping your ass with them, though.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
So yeah, no moonlighting. That's to me. That's
Like,
professional
that's what
polygamy
we
is
have.
obvious.
Yeah. So that's what we have. We don't necessarily have a non-compete because we have people. We've had an employee leave our firm and go to another firm next day.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. It's.
I think it generally applies to folks.
Hang that one second. Time to get a look at your forecast. Here is WBRZ meteorologist Jacelyn Wheat. That's early. That might be Rowdy trying to get in the building.
Okay, are you downstairs? Okay, I'll come let you in a second.
Is he downstairs? That's Rowdy? Okay. Can you let him in on your way out?
Mhm.
Okay.
No.